Good morning. I just want to thank the Crown Agents and the Society for International Development for inviting me here to speak. Those of you that know me know that I can actually talk about Burma for ad nauseum. I've had a love affair with this country since I was about 5 years old. Somebody was asking me when I first got interested in Burma, and for those of you that were around in the 70s, I don't know if you remember the little Viewmaster things, the little red things with the slides. I had one that had a picture of the Shwe Dagon Paya, and I was just absolutely fascinated by how golden and beautiful it was, right? And so since I was 5 years old, I really always wanted to go to Burma, and I finally have had several opportunities to go. And over the years, I've covered other countries working at USAID, and I was working on Afghanistan for a while. And our bureau got a budget to cover for language training, and I said, "Oh, I want to learn Burmese." And everybody around the table just looked at me like I was absolutely stupid. Well, you're covering Afghanistan. Why don't you learn Pashto or Dari? Well, I actually speak both languages. I want to learn Burmese because trust me, it's going to be useful one of these days. So fast forward 8 years, and guess what? I'm right. I like being right. Okay, so the U.S. government has had a very long history in Burma. We first signed our economic cooperation. Is this which? This, okay, so we've had a very long history in Burma. We signed our first economic cooperation agreement in 1950, and we've had kind of a checkered history with the Burmese government as well, because every time they do something that's marginally egregious, we tend to pull out. And we've now kind of come up with an action for action framework where they do something, we try to respond in a very more positive way. So as the slide says, what we're trying really hard to do is strengthen civil society. That's one of our big pushes, and we're trying to incorporate civil society into pretty much everything that we do and just really create an awareness and an understanding for what democratic principles are. USAID first started in Burma again this last go round around 2003, and we're using health as a focus to actually get into the country. There are a couple of pandemic threats that originate in the Mekong subregion, such as avian influenza, malaria, and there's a lot of HIV/AIDS. And so we were actually able to go in because working in Burma, even though the U.S. government had sanctions against Burma at that time, was actually in our national interest because we were very concerned about the spread of those diseases outside the Mekong subregion into the United States and to other countries. And there's actually a lot of work that's been done to show how, say, malaria endemic to that region ends up in Africa and other parts. So this was something that we ended up getting lots of congressional waivers for, and we were able to go and finally work in Burma. Then Cyclone Nargis actually had a huge impact because that's what really paved the way for us to get a foot in the door. And shortly after Cyclone Nargis, we actually were able to put our first staff person on the ground in Burma in late 2008. And our budget has actually grown to about $38 million a year for the last 3 or 4 years, where what we do is we have a program that divides out our Burma program as a whole is congressionally appropriated to help the Burmese people, which includes Burmese people living on the Thai side of the border. So as you'll see in the slide, there's about $10 million of our program is actually on the Thailand side, and 28 million is actually inside Burma. But now if you look at this next slide, the green part is our border program. So even though we're working on the Thai side with migrants and in the refugee camps, we're actually doing a lot of reach into Burma with backpack health worker teams that go in all through Shan State or Karen State. We're doing a lot of teacher training, community development, education activities, and all of them keep coming back into Mesot or Mae Hong Son along in Thailand for training. Then they go back into Burma. The yellow or the orange, whatever color shows up down below is our Irrawaddy Delta program, which was basically Cyclone Nargis relief. And you'll see that the big orange part is our humanitarian assistance in the dry zone program that we've just recently started last October. It's a $55 million program over the next 5 years, and it's really going to be working in microenterprise, health, water and sanitation, and community development. This next slide kind of gives you an outline of what our programs are. Our democracy and governance is really focused on civil society strengthening. As I said, we've tried to build in elements of civil society community participation into every single program that we've done. Our education program is actually quite interesting because there are a group of people who are the offspring of various Burmese dissidents who have been denied an education. So working through the American Center with World Learning, we've been able to set up a program where these students can come in and get distance education and get an associate's degree from an American university. It's partly with the University of Vermont and with the University in Colorado that they're able to actually get training and do a lot of learning in a relatively safe environment, which is what the American Center in Rangoon provides. Our humanitarian assistance program I talked about a little bit, but then again our HIV, AIDS, malaria, TB, pandemic, influenza programs we're actually working at several different levels. We're working with the government trying to do increased surveillance and testing and making sure that once these diseases are found that there's adequate treatment and things like that. But we're also doing a very large HIV AIDS program working with the most at-risk populations in Rangoon and along the border, working with some trafficked people as well. Our Thai-Burma border programs I talked about a little bit earlier, but we have 140,000 people in refugee camps. And so these are some serious issues that need to be taken care of. We're really looking at what's going to be going forward with the current spaces that are opening up in Burma. What does this mean for the people that are on the Thai side? What does this mean for migrants? Are they going to want to stay? Are they going to want to go? So we're actually putting a lot of thought into how we're going to look at that in the out years. I mean, it's way too soon to start to send people back home because there's lots of areas with landmines. There's still active conflict in many of these areas, even though there have been ceasefires signed. However, we would still like to kind of keep that on the horizon and make sure that they all have a safe environment to return to. So going forward, we're really kind of looking at what our program is going to be like now that we have so much more operating space in Burma, and all of a sudden there's Burma, nobody really cared about Burma until about 6 months ago when the secretary went.
Excuse me.
Okay, yeah. But it was you and me and like 5 other people, right? You couldn't fill a room like this before.
That's right.
Okay, thank you. So we're really committed to making sure that some of these principles are really met. And, most of those are self-explanatory, but one of the things that we really want to look at is to make sure that we're linking the right people, that we're really making sure that we have links throughout civil society. It's not true that there is no civil society. There was actually plenty of civil society in Burma. There's lots of people that have set up organizations to kind of just help, especially in the wake of Nargis. There was a lot of Burmese people helping other Burmese people. And so we really want to link into those areas and to link into those people and connect them. We want to make sure that whatever that we do doesn't exacerbate any conflicts, does not support one group over another. We really want to make sure that there's good linkages between the Bama core of the people and then the periphery of the various ethnic minorities that are there as well. And I think the U.S. government has a comparative advantage in many ways because even though the numbers and the amount of money that we're bringing to the table is quite small, it's only $38 million, the Australians have just announced that they're going to be putting in $100 million, right? Which is almost 3 times what we have. But we have a certain amount of convening power. People are looking to us for directions and in which ways to go. So we're really looking to utilize that in a very productive manner going forth. And, as I said, starting out, our engagement with the people of Burma has been a checkered history where they do something egregious and then we tend to pull out. So we're really very conscious of that going forward, and we really want it to be make sure that our programs going forward are conditional on the Burmese government taking the appropriate steps to ensure that all citizens of their country are enfranchised and there is actually a transition to democracy. So, and sorry, I'm just kind of rushing through all this because I'm cognizant of time. There are lots of different impediments that we're also looking at. Our main program, as I said, focuses on the health, the humanitarian assistance, and democracy with a little bit of education. But there's so many other issues that we're very conscious of. And what we've looked at, we had a team go out to look at just what those impediments were. And where do you start? There's a lack of capacity across the country. Judiciary, it's weak, and land tenure rights. There's just the whole list of things that just kept going that we need to address. So we as USAID, we're now kind of in a position of looking at what it is that we're going to start addressing going forward. We're very, very abundantly aware of the ethnic crises, other external factors such as the role of China. The whole Mitsun Dam thing was a big issue, and China was playing a really big part in that. And now we've heard reports that even though the dam had been that work has been stopped on the dam according to the presidential decree, that there's still movement going in of heavy infrastructure. So what does that all mean? What's that going to mean for environment? What's that going to mean for the people that are living in that area, for land rights, etc.? And then that kind of ties into our challenges going ahead. So capacity is a big issue. Political participation is a big issue. Making sure that all the ethnic minorities have a seat at the table. And then, there are still issues that we don't really understand. As Dasu will say, these changes are easily reversible. So we don't really know what the military is going to do. I mean, who the spoilers are. We're still looking at all of that from a very pragmatic perspective. And, so we're really looking at those kinds of issues, and we're hoping to have a very robust program. We're setting up a mission. We hope to have the mission in Rangoon fully functional and actually officially opened as of about November. We have an interim mission director out there now who is, I was on a call with him yesterday, and he's saying that he's absolutely fascinated by the country and how amazing it is, and he wishes that we would have had a mission there a long time ago because he would have loved to have gone. But it's just exciting times, and I'm really very excited to be a part of these changes. Thank you.